Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Krista. Today we're starting our meditation series. So this is the first of four videos that I'm going to be making around meditation, specifically creative meditation, NIAM meditation, outer body experience, and astral travel. So I'm going to be speaking to themes that I have personally experienced and eventually wrote a book about. And I want to share those with you because meditation, as it stands, seems like a very simple activity. Everyone of every age is encouraged to try practicing this, and it is everything they say it is. So if you look at anything from the scientific data where they did studies, brain scans on long-term meditators. One of the cool things that I have to say about meditation is that it is available to everyone and it's free. You don't have to go to a meditation center. You don't have to take classes. You can do it at home on your own, and you can do it for free. The only thing you're going to spend on it is a little bit of time and some interest, right? Show some interest in it and be willing to learn and to develop through the process. Because I think it's probably different for everyone. The meditation journey, the things you're going to encounter when you're sitting still for long periods at a time, or you can break up those periods of times that you sit still. So for example, I never felt fully comfortable sitting down for more than, say, 20 minutes at a time. So I chose guided meditations that were 15 to 20 minutes and not much longer. So I knew that I would feel comfortable and I could relax and not feel stuck. Many people like doing meditation poses and contemplations for much, much longer than that. So do what is comfortable for you and be willing to change that up. If you start with 20 minutes and you go to an hour, that's great, and vice versa. So choose something that you feel confident and happy about beginning, and then it'll just become a habit before too long. So the reason I got into meditation several years ago in 2012 was because I wanted to feel good. And this is when the data started first coming out, for example, when they were doing these, brain mapping discoveries around long-term meditation experts, such as the gentleman that I follow. And it was remarkable. So they could see it in brain scans. They could see the changes in your brain, which were very positive and relaxing, right? Which was the whole point. I don't want to have to take drugs to relax. I don't want to have to talk myself down all the time. I really, because I had experienced anxiety and of course some forms of depression, as I'm sure many individuals around the world do at some points in their lives, I wanted to be able to tackle this myself. And because of the research and the evidence, I thought, you know what, I have nothing to lose. So that's the reason I began meditation, and I encourage everyone to try it out for themselves. Like I said, what I'll be doing in this four-part series is basically looking at my personal experiences with meditation and, of course, what arose from those experiences over the years. So like I said, I began in 2012. Around 2015, 2016, I started having what can be considered, or what I like to call, outer body experience or astral travel, which was, I really didn't think about it too much at the beginning. To be honest with you, I just thought that's really interesting. What a curious event that keeps happening. But as the year wore on, say summer 2015 to the following summer 2016, what I found was happening was a story was developing within these experiences, within these, say, astral travel experiences. And they became quite profound to me, to the point where I, like I said, wrote a book and illustrated it. And here we are, years later, even still talking about it because it's pretty phenomenal and profound. So let's get into some of the first themes that I have around meditation. I've got some notes here so I can stay focused. And this first video, we're going to speak specifically about creative meditation and sitting still. So it sounds easy, right? Sitting still sounds easy. With no interruption, nothing in the background. And help yourself out here, I think it's wise to do it for a specific period of time. Set a timer, listen to a guided meditation, whatever you think might help you within that time frame. And it should be easy, right? You should just be able to sit still and relax and your thoughts just drift away. But that wasn't my experience for the first, I would say at least 18 months to 2 years. The process of sitting still for 15 minutes at a time in deep contemplation or meditation, as it were, you're forced to confront yourself. So, as I said at the beginning, this is going to be a very unique experience to each and every person who conducts meditation practice. You really can't compare that part to anyone else's. That is strictly yours. You're going to have things that come up, for example, from a TV show that you watched 20 years ago. You're going to have things that come up from a conversation you had yesterday, to something you experienced from childhood. All sorts of different things that are upsetting, things that make you happy, things that you never dreamed that were in the back of your mind in the first place. And this is all what I consider exceptionally normal. It's going to be upsetting though. Some of these things that come up are going to be harder to release, for example, than other things. So what I'm going to suggest out of my list of 5 major themes behind creative meditation and sitting still is the very first thing that I think is important to do is to choose a quiet area where you can sit comfortably. So consider where you'll be sitting. You know, is it in front of a window? Are you going to have curtains drawn or blinds pulled? If you have any pets, you're going to want to make sure they're asleep or outside or taken care of so that even they're not coming over and interrupting you. I mean, if you think about it, it's really only 15 minutes you're taking for yourself, so you deserve this amount of time, and the whole world can turn off for 15 minutes. So consider that. Turn off your phone, close the door, draw the blinds if you have to. Make sure you're sitting on something that's relatively comfortable for you. I don't recommend lying down. I think it is important to sit upright, cross-legged in as much as your physical health allows you to. If you have any knee or hip issues, for example, you can sit a little differently, sit some way that's comfortable for you. You know, don't get too caught up, for example, in sitting, you know, the right way or in a perfect sitting or lotus position or something like that. I would pay perhaps less attention to how you're holding your hands and fingers, for example, than sitting down at all, right? So just sit and, you know, let your hands relax, maybe in front of you like this. If you want to play around with positioning in your hands, you know, holding them up, you know, finger poses. If you're reading books on meditation or taking courses in meditation, follow those guidelines in as much as you want to and that you feel comfortable. But in the easiest, most simplest way to creatively meditate and sit still, just sit. Just make that the most important part and maybe play with intricacies as you become more adept at the meditation process. So we're going to choose an area that's quiet. We're going to sit comfortably in an uninterrupted area. Turn off your phones. The second thing that I might suggest is to consider a guided meditation. So I brought this up at the beginning. You can choose meditation music, for example, and it can be for a short period of time. You can choose something that has nothing to do with meditation that just appeals to you, that's quiet and calming, like running water, you know, like an audio of a stream or a river or some birds or whatever is relaxing to you in the background. If it's just pure quiet and you want nothing in the background, what I find a lot of people tend to condone in the meditation practice world or in the literature around meditation is to focus on breathing. This is a very common part of trying to focus your mind, is to focus on breathing, the in and the out. That didn't work for me personally. I found that very distracting and I found it almost upset my breathing process. I found I was starting to get a little bit attached to what I might recommend that worked for me, as an example, is to just focus on what's being said or seen in your own mind. So I would try to get away from language and words as much as possible, and focus initially on a light or a dot in your mind. So we're going to do this with our eyes closed, obviously. So sitting in a comfortable position in a quiet area, close your eyes. And then if you want to focus on your breathing, great, if that works for you. If you want to focus on a word in your head that might be helpful, you can do that as well. You can choose any word that is helpful to you: healing, hope, love, peace, whatever that is. What I found was helpful to me, however, so pass on the focus on breathing, focus on a word or terminology in my head. What I ended up doing is focusing on a dot. Just not a circle, not a line, okay, not a shape, just a dot. So when your eyes are closed and you're sitting still, and like I said, do this for a very particular period of time. I found 15 minutes to be helpful. I still do, so I still do 15 minutes at a time, but that's up to you. You can do whatever length of time you like. Focusing on a dot is a really nice way to begin with having things come up to the surface, okay? For example, if you're focused on your breathing, you may stay focused on your breathing so much so that nothing else can come to the fore. Something, say that TV show that I mentioned that might come back from, forward from the back of your mind from 20 years ago. It might be harder to get that to come up to the fore if you're focusing on something else. So creating a blank space and maybe just a little bit of a dot there, a lot of room for things to move around. So give that a go, see if that helps. The third thing I might suggest is to consider controlling self-narratives. So what I mean by this is to help yourself out with where you're going to put the information or put the data that comes forward during meditation that you want to release. So again, let's use the example of a TV show from 20 years ago. And believe me, silly stuff like this will come up. It can be a TV show that you saw last night, or a movie that you saw, or a song you were listening to. And it doesn't seem to have any relevance in your life. It just comes up. It's coming to the surface for whatever reason. So try not to get too stuck on why that's coming up and why now and what does it mean. Try not to spend a whole lot of time doing that. You're just going to appreciate the fact that, oh, that's interesting. That's coming to the fore as I, focus on that dot, right? So if you have a tiny dot in your mind's eye, for example, there's going to be lots of room. Just imagine all the room that you have for things to come around that. And what I might suggest is you creating a cloud, okay? Creating some sort of, or a box, or something, a bird, whatever you need to, that will sweep that thought away. So you want to be able to let the thought come forward, acknowledge the thought, oh, that's a TV show from 20 years ago. Envision or imagine either the dot that you're focusing on, or let's say a cloud, which I personally have found very helpful. Let's imagine it's a conversation from a TV show 20 years ago, and I say, oh, there it is. And kind of like a drag and drop that you went on a computer, just imagine that you're taking that thought and it's a bunch of words, or it's an image, or it's a color, whatever it appears to you as, and you're just going to take that and put it in a cute little cloud. And then what you get to do with it is you get to watch the cloud go. So you can just, even in your own mind's eye, just watch it go to the left. There it goes, out of your vision, out of your mind, out of your thought process. What I find is the most curious thing about doing this is not only does it work, as soon as you can finally let that go, something new will show up that you didn't expect, or you did, but you're ready to let go of, and you can repeat the process with any new thought or memory or idea or conversation, etc., that you've had that you want to release and let go of. What I find curious about this, however, is that depending on what thought or memory does come up, it could take a very long time to actually get rid of it. So that TV show from 20 years ago, for example, could take one or two tries in that cloud where I release it. Or it could take months to do it, or a conversation you had, or a memory. So Try not to give yourself a hard time over what's taking a long time to release or let go of in that cloud, as an example. Just sit with it and let it keep coming up, and keep practicing letting go. And if it's strong in your subconscious, it will keep coming up, and it may be pleasant, it may not be, but sit with it. For example, many situations for me took, I would say, at least 2 months for some of these images or conversations or memories. And it was just one at a time, right? This one memory would come up, and I'd want other things to come up. I'd want to keep pushing through that so I could get to other subconscious issues. But I had to work through that. So in order to accept that and to flow with how much time that needed, I was just patient. So try to be patient with yourself and with this process, okay? Some things will take longer to work through than others. So I'm going to suggest as well, through this process, be curious, be willing, try not to be expectant and try not to be fearful. You want to invite protection into the process as well. You can even remind yourself that you're safe, that this is normal, that you are protected. So if you discover things that are coming up from your subconscious, for example, during this time, try to be patient with yourself, but also if you find that if you're feeling energetically, for example, that this is daunting or dark, or you feel like you're somehow alone and you need some protection or help, you can call on that. You can ask for that, spiritual protection, ancestral protection. You can ask God if you have a relationship with God, or any number of source beings, Jesus, whatever that is for you. Mother Mary is very helpful. The archangels, Michael, Archangel Metatron, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Gabriel are very helpful as well. Even if you don't consider yourself religious, spiritual, Gnostic, whatever, agnostic, atheist, whatever umbrella you're under, for example, you can just ask for protection from yourself. I know I'm safe and protected, and you can just know it. So whatever works for you, like I said, the sitting down and the contemplation process is universal, but your experience and what's going to come up and how you protect yourself and work through some of these subconscious issues and problems and memories are very unique to you. So remember that as well, that this is your journey. Number 3 in the creative meditation and sitting still process that I consider important is to I guess we're on number 4. Sorry about that. Realize it will take time. Yeah, to move beyond thoughts, memories, and issues. This is all very normal. So I would say if there's something that keeps coming up and it feels daunting, it feels like I'm not able to move past this, and you feel yourself struggling or getting sort of upset or frustrated even with yourself at this point, at the end of it, for example, saying things like, why can't I move past this? Why is this such a strong what have you? I think that is normal, and I really congratulate yourself, give yourself a pat on the back that you're able and willing to keep sitting with it. This is a huge deal. So I want to recommend here paying attention to sitting with this and working through it, because I can guarantee you, even if it takes 6 or 9 months or 12 months, it's going to feel like a long time, okay? But here's the thing. It was so deep and so buried that it took that long to get out, but now it is. And now it's gone. So let's just say it was an old TV show from 20 years ago, and it took 12 months for you to finally let go of that. It's in the cloud. It's gone forever. It'll never come back up. Now there's something new that you can release and put in that cloud and let go of forever and detach from your subconscious forever. You will never have to encounter that again. That will always be gone. So it's a beautiful thing if you give yourself a lot of credit for overcoming something, whether it was easy or hard. Make a habit of congratulating yourself for working through something that was difficult and that was a challenge for you to work through, okay? Because that's a big deal. It's also a really nice way of praising yourself and loving yourself through the next process of your meditative journey. And then I want to finish off by stating that your imagery can be very important. So here's where we're going to be looking at more the creative portion of meditation. So depending on who you're listening to, for example, as a guided meditation theme, say on YouTube, which is what I rely on just because, like I said, it's free and why not? And there are many different ways that people can help you through this. They can be experts, they can be doing it themselves, they can be teaching it, and they can just be interested in the subject matter and reading books and helping you that way. Or you can be reading books and doing it yourself that way as well. However, what I have found with creative meditation is to not necessarily get bogged down in what someone else wants you to see. So maybe someone's creative or guided meditation, for example, could be telling you exactly what to see. That may be helpful, but it can be confining. So try to find a meditation or try to create a meditation experience for yourself where you can expand, where there's a great deal of expansion. There's no limits, okay? Where you can go with this, what you can imagine. And if you're doing it from a peaceful place, or your intention is to create peace and alignment and acceptance and hopefully some element of self-love and bliss, then I think it will be quite easy for you to develop your own peaceful place. So a lot of people will call that your happy place, right? So what does your happy place look like? For many people, it's going to look like a really nice cozy cottage or, a river. Try to think of something that you can use over and over. So, a rock by the ocean or a tree by the river. One visualization that I like to choose to sit at when I create a space for my thoughts to go away in the cloud, for example, is a wharf. It's a wharf on a lake, and I just go sit on the wharf and I just sort of look up to the sky, and the clouds are going by, and anything that arises as a thought or an idea, I go, that's interesting. Well, there it is. And then I, like I said, put it in the cloud, and then I just watch it go. Sometimes it comes back and I have to work through that, and sometimes I can just let it go. So as I said at the very beginning, what you can begin doing that may be very helpful for you is just to focus on a dot in your mind's eye, just a dot. What I did after the first process of creating the dot for myself is I created a circle around the dot so that I could learn to focus even harder and not be afraid of imagery, for example. So in essence, learning how to control my own I guess I would be my own inner thoughts and my own inner imagery and not getting caught up in anything else, right? It's literally controlling your own mind. So I went from the dot to a circle around the dot, and then the circle sort of, instead of looking like a flat circle in front of me, like a clock on the wall, it sort of shifted so that it was flat and this dot was in the center. And I was the dot in the center. So it sort of elevated. I got to elevate the scene for myself so that my second and third focus became a circle. The second focus became a circle. The third focus became me within the circle. And I was just sitting in the circle in my mind's eye like I was sitting in my living room. So it's a really nice way, at least it was for me, to also realize that there's an energy, there's an energetic shift, there's an energy involved. There is, as I found out learning, a light. There's a light body, right? We're all energy, we're all just these electrical beings. And I feel like it really will help you, especially getting started. So I'm going to add a few things in the description for this video below for you to look up and discover if they are right for you. Do join me in the next video. We'll be looking at what is Nyam meditation and the Zen and Buddhist opinion of Nyam meditation. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I hope to see you in the next one, and take excellent care. Bye for now, folks.